Level 1, the raya. You wake in darkness. The rooster has not crowed. Your feet hit cold dirt. Your back already aches. You are 20. You feel 40. The fields wait. They always wait. You pull on the same clothes, the same holes in the same places. Your father wore these clothes, his father before him. The mud squelches between your toes. You carry the wooden plow. It weighs more each morning. The ox knows the routine. So do you. The sun climbs. Your hands blister. The blisters break. New ones form underneath. You plant what the sipahi demands. You harvest what the sipahi takes. You keep what the sipahi allows. That is never enough. It is never supposed to be enough. Your wife boils barley. Again, your children ask for meat. You have no answer. You are raya. The word means flock. You are the sheep. The Ottoman state is the shepherd. You exist to be sheared. The dev collectors come every 3 years like clockwork. They walk through your village with ledgers and calculating eyes. They examine the boys between 8 and 18. Your son is 12. He hides behind your wife's skirts when the collectors pass your door. They take the strongest, the smartest, the ones who will become janissaries or administrators. You should feel honored. Instead, you feel hollow. These boys will never return. They will serve the Sultan. They will forget their mothers' faces. You pay the jizya tax because you are Christian, the harak tax because you work the land, the avarice tax for extraordinary expenses, the tekalif tax for local needs, the ayan tax for military campaigns you will never see, the nuzul tax to feed soldiers who protect borders you will never cross. Each tax collector has different robes, different titles, different books. The amounts change. The collection never stops. Your neighbor's daughter disappeared last week. The local judge says she converted to Islam and married a Turkish merchant. Your neighbor says she was taken. No one investigates. No one asks questions. Questions are dangerous for raya. You keep your daughters close. You teach them to look down when strangers pass. The harvest comes. You work 18 hours under the August sun. Your wife brings water that tastes like copper. Your children gather grain that fell between the scythe strokes. Every kernel matters. The sipahi arrives with his accountants. They measure your yield. They take their portion first. Then the state taxes. Then the religious tithe. What remains feeds your family through winter. Most years it is not enough. You repair the sipahi's roads when the flooding comes. You maintain his bridges. You provide labor for his construction projects. This is your corvée obligation. No payment, no choice. You leave your fields unattended to fix his problems. Your crops suffer. That is your responsibility too. Winter arrives early. Your youngest daughter coughs through the night. The cough sounds wet, hollow. You know this cough. You have heard it before. The physician wants payment you do not have. Your daughter grows thinner. The cough grows worse. By February, she is quiet. By March, the ground is soft enough to dig. Spring returns. You plant again. The same fields, the same crops, the same hope that maybe this year will be different. It never is. Your son is 13 now. The devshirm collectors will return soon. You watch him grow taller, stronger. You dread what that means. A new boy arrives in the village. His family fled from the eastern provinces where the wars rage. He has no land, no animals, no tools. He watches you work the fields. He asks questions about planting seasons and tax obligations. His eyes hold the same desperate hope yours once carried. They always do. The cycle continues. Level 2, the Janissary recruit. They shave your head with a blade that nicks. Blood runs down your neck. Your hair falls in clumps on stones worn smooth by 10,000 other boys. The barber speaks Turkish. You don't understand. That is the correct answer. Understanding comes later. First comes forgetting. You sleep on straw that reeks of the boy who died here last winter. 40 other recruits breathe in the same room. Some cry at night. You learn not to hear them. The ones who cry too long disappear. The barracks grow quieter each week. Your new name is Mehmet. It means nothing to you yet. When they call it, you don't turn. The rod across your shoulders teaches you faster than any tutor. By the third day, Mehmet turns when called. Your old name lives somewhere behind your teeth. You swallow it down. The wooden practice sword weighs more than it should. Your hands blister. The splinters work into your palms and fester. You swing at straw dummies until your arms shake. The instructor watches with eyes like a hawk counting mice. When you drop the sword, he makes you hold it above your head until the sun moves a hand's width across the courtyard. They feed you rice and mutton, more food than you've ever seen. Your stomach, hollow for so many years, rebels against abundance. You vomit behind the latrines and eat anyway. Strength requires fuel. The strong ones get promoted, the weak ones get buried. Prayer happens 5 times each day. You kneel on carpets facing Mecca. The words taste foreign in your mouth, Arabic syllables that mean submission, gratitude, surrender. Your lips move. Your mind empties. The God of your childhood watches from somewhere you can't reach anymore. The new God demands different genuflections. The uniform fits poorly. Rough wool that chafes your neck. Red cap that slides over your ears. Belt leather that cuts your hip when you march. But it marks you as property of the Sultan. Property has value. Property gets fed. Property learns to read and write and calculate the trajectory of cannonballs. Mathematics comes in the afternoon heat. You scratch equations in sand with sticks, numbers that describe the arc of projectiles, the weight of gunpowder needed to breach walls, the geometry of fortification. Your village had no numbers beyond counting sheep. Now you calculate death by degrees and angles. The older Janissaries visit during evening inspection. They check your weapons, your uniform, your posture. Their beards are full. Their eyes hold battles you can't imagine. They speak softly and carry curved sabers that sing when drawn. One touches the back of your neck. You don't flinch. That counts for something. Turkish words replace the ones you knew. Water becomes su. Bread becomes ekmek. Death becomes ölüm. Your tongue learns new shapes. Your thoughts begin forming in the conqueror's language. When you dream in Turkish now. The old language lives only in muscle memory, in the way your hands still move when you pray to the buried God. Letters arrive for other boys. You watch them read news from villages that still exist. Your village burned 2 summers ago. There are no letters for the dead. There is no home behind you, only the core ahead. That simplifies everything. Training intensifies as autumn comes. Real swords replace wooden ones. The weight feels different. The balance point sits closer to your hand. Steel holds an edge that wood cannot. The first time you draw blood from a practice partner, you see your reflection in the blade. The face looking back wears a red cap and speaks Turkish. Your body changes. Shoulders broaden. Hands grow calloused and sure. The boy who entered these barracks exists only in the space between sleeping and waking, when memory and dream collide. That boy is gone. What remains is raw material for empire. Outside the training ground, a new group of boys arrives. They stumble from the wagons with eyes like yours once were, wide, afraid, still speaking their mother's languages. They have no idea what's coming. They're about to find out. Level 3, the Janissary. Your musket kicks against your shoulder as another city falls. The recoil travels through bone and muscle, a familiar violence you've learned to absorb. Smoke hangs thick in the morning air. You reload without thinking, the motion's automatic after years of drill. Ram the powder, seat the ball, prime the pan. Your hands move faster than conscious thought. The city gates hang open like a broken jaw. You march through with your orda, your company of 200 men who were once Christian boys like you. Now you speak Ottoman Turkish better than the language your mother sang. You pray 5 times daily facing Mecca. You cannot remember her face clearly anymore. The spoils are divided according to rank and service. You receive your share of gold dinars, silk bolts, and whatever small treasures the citizens tried to hide. Your commanding officer, the Korbatsi, takes his portion first. Then the senior Janissaries. Then men like you. The hierarchy is absolute. That is the correct answer when anyone asks why. You sleep in barracks with men who became your brothers through shared suffering. Mehmet was taken from a village near Belgrade, Hassan from somewhere in Georgia, Ahmed from the mountains of Albania. You speak of battles and women and the quality of your rations, but never of the families you left behind. Some memories are too expensive to maintain. Your uniform marks you as elite. The white felt cap, the baka, sits precisely on your shaved head. The long blue robe reaches your ankles. Silver ornaments catch light as you walk through Istanbul's streets. Children stare. Merchants bow slightly. You are Janissary, new troops, though most of you have served for a decade or more. The name stuck from when the corps was young. Training never ends. Every morning you drill with your musket until your shoulders burn. You practice sword work until your wrists ache. You march until your feet blister, then march more until the blisters become calluses. The pain shapes you into something harder than what you were. Your body learns to endure what your mind cannot accept. The pay comes regularly, 8 axi per day, more than most craftsmen earn. You can afford meat twice weekly, good boots, a warm cloak for winter campaigns, but you cannot marry without permission from your officers. You cannot leave the corps. You cannot return to the village where you were born. The boy who became you is officially dead. Your order commander assigns you to gate duty at the Topkapi Palace. You stand motionless for 8 hours, watching courtiers and officials pass. Your legs cramp. Your back stiffens. You do not move. A bead of sweat runs down your spine beneath the heavy robe. You ignore it. Discipline is measured in small, constant resistances to comfort. Between campaigns, you serve as firefighters in the capital. When wooden houses catch flame, your order responds with leather buckets and axes. You climb burning roofs to tear away timber. Smoke fills your lungs. Heat blisters your hands through leather gloves. Citizens watch you work, knowing you might save their homes or let them burn, depending on your mood that day. The cannon thunder announces another victory on the Hungarian frontier. Your regiment will march north in 3 days. You oil your musket lock and sharpen your yataghan sword. The blade has tasted blood in 7 different provinces. Each campaign adds weight to your step, not from exhaustion, but from accumulated knowledge of what men do to other men when empires expand. Your prayers have become automatic. The Arabic words flow without conscious thought 5 times daily. Allah Akbar, God is great. You believe this, though you cannot say if the God you pray to now is the same one your mother taught you to fear as a child. Faith, like everything else, has been replaced by discipline. A new recruit arrives at the barracks. Barely 16, still speaking broken Turkish, still flinching when the older men laugh. He stares at your decorations with the same wonder you once felt. His uniform hangs loose on his narrow frame. Soon, it will fit perfectly. Level 4, the sipahi. You ride out before dawn to survey your Timar lands. The horse beneath you is worth more than most men see in 5 years. Your sword hangs heavy at your side, its weight familiar now after countless campaigns. The morning mist rises from fields that stretch to the horizon. Every acre feeds your family. Every acre demands your blood when the Sultan calls. Your estates span 12 villages. You know the name of every headman, every mill, every bridge that needs repair. The peasants bow when you pass. They bring you their disputes. A stolen goat, a boundary stone moved in the night, a daughter promised to 2 different men. You settle these matters under the old oak tree where your father once sat. That counts for something. The tax collectors report to you now. 30% of the harvest flows through your hands to Istanbul. You keep the rest to maintain your equipment, your horses, your men. The numbers must balance perfectly. Too little sent to the capital and inspectors arrive asking uncomfortable questions. Too much and your own sipahi struggle to maintain their gear. You walk this line every season. Your youngest son practices his sword work in the courtyard. He holds the blade like his grandfather taught you. The same grip, the same stance. His mother watches from the window, her face tight with pride and worry. He will inherit these lands when you fall. The thought sits in your chest like a stone. Not if you fall, when. The summons arrives on a Tuesday. The Sultan requires your service for the Safavid campaign. You have 40 days to gather your men and march to the staging grounds at Erzurum. Your wife says nothing when you tell her. She begins packing your campaign chest that night. She has done this 16 times before. You inspect your sipahi one final time before departure. 20 mounted warriors, each equipped according to regulation. Lance, sword, bow, mail, shirt, helm. Their horses are strong, their gear maintained, their loyalty tested in previous campaigns. These men will follow you into Persian arrows and Janissary politics alike. Some will not return. You know their names, their wives, their children. The march to Erzurum takes 18 days through mountain passes still heavy with spring snow. Your column moves with mechanical precision. Rise before first prayer. Break camp at sunrise. Rest the horses every third hour. Make camp before evening prayer. The routine has not changed in 2 centuries. Your father rode these same paths, his father before him. At the staging grounds, 10,000 sipahi gather under the crescent banners. You recognize faces from previous campaigns. Gray beards who fought at Mohawks. Young men earning their first scars. The Janissary units keep to themselves, their white felt caps marking them as the Sultan's own. They receive better rations, better positions in the line of march, better chances of survival. You eat barley bread and remember when that arrangement bothered you. The campaign lasts 7 months. You lose 4 men to Persian sabers and 2 more to dysentery. The victories come at predictable cost. Your sword arm aches constantly now. Your knees protest every time you mount your horse. The young sipahi under your command look at you the way you once looked at the gray beards, measuring, wondering how much longer. You return home in autumn to find your middle son has died of fever. Your wife aged 10 years in 7 months. The harvest was poor while you were gone. Bandits raided the eastern villages twice. The headmen waited for your return to report these failures, their eyes full of careful respect and quiet blame. Your youngest son is taller now. His sword work has improved. He asks about the campaign with bright eyes that remind you of yourself at that age. You tell him about the Persian cavalry, their tactics, their weaknesses. You do not tell him about the faces of the men who will not return home. He will learn that himself soon enough. The cycle continues. Level 5, the kadi. You sit behind the carved wooden screen in the courthouse, listening to voices you cannot see. The latticework filters their words, but not their desperation. A merchant claims his partner stole 300 oxe. A woman seeks divorce from a husband who beats her. A landowner disputes boundaries that have shifted with the spring floods. Your pen scratches against parchment as you record their testimonies. The screen protects your authority. They cannot read your face when you pause to think. They cannot see you reference the legal text spread across your desk. The Hanafi school of jurisprudence guides every decision, but within those boundaries, your interpretation becomes their reality. You are the law made flesh in this district. Your morning begins before dawn prayers. You review cases while the courthouse is empty, cross-referencing precedents you memorized during years of study in Istanbul. The thick legal manuscripts smell of leather and ink. Your eyes burn from reading by candlelight, but you must know every relevant passage before the first petitioner arrives. Ignorance means injustice. Injustice means your removal. The courthouse fills after morning prayers. Your clerk announces each case through the screen. You listen to testimonies, examine documents passed through the latticework opening, question witnesses whose faces you will never know. Every word you speak carries the weight of the Sultan's authority. Your verdict cannot be appealed. There is no higher court in this district. You earn 400 oxe monthly, more than most merchants see in a year. Your house sits near the mosque, its rooms lined with legal texts and correspondence from other kadis across the empire. Your wife manages household affairs you rarely see. Your children eat dinner while you prepare for tomorrow's cases. They have learned not to interrupt when you are writing verdicts. The cases blur together after months on the bench. Property disputes over water rights, marriage contracts disputed by families, criminal accusations requiring careful investigation. Each decision ripples through the community. The merchant you rule against may lose his shop. The woman you grant divorce may face her family's anger. The boundary you establish will stand for generations. Your authority extends beyond the courthouse. Tax collectors seek your approval for assessments. The local Janissary commander consults you about military requisitions. Guild leaders bring disputes they cannot resolve among themselves. You are the Sultan's representative in all legal matters, the bridge between imperial law and local custom. The isolation weighs differently now. You cannot socialize with those you may judge. The cloth merchant who greets you in the bazaar may petition your court next week. The imam who leads prayers may need your ruling on a religious endowment. Every conversation carries the possibility of future conflict of interest. Your social circle shrinks to other judges, visiting scholars, administrative officials who understand the burden of decision. Your handwriting fills hundreds of legal registers each year. Marriage contracts, property transfers, criminal sentences, inheritance distributions. Each document bears your seal, your signature, your responsibility. Mistakes can be overturned only by your successor, and only if gross negligence is proven. You sleep knowing your errors may haunt families for decades. The most difficult cases involve children, custody disputes between divorced parents, inheritance claims by orphans, accusations of abuse requiring delicate investigation. You must balance religious law with human mercy, knowing your decision shapes young lives. The screen that protects your authority also distances you from the tears you cause. Regional governors respect your independence but monitor your decisions. Too many complaints reach their ears and you face transfer or dismissal. Too few cases resolved and your competence is questioned. You must balance justice with administrative efficiency, community harmony with legal precedent. The margin for error narrows with each verdict. Your evenings end with correspondence. Letters to Istanbul seeking clarification on complex legal points. Reports to the provincial governor on local conditions affecting law enforcement. Responses to other kadus sharing precedents and interpretations. The empire's legal system depends on this network of scholarly exchange. A young man arrives from the capital, carrying appointment papers for a smaller district court. He asks about procedure, about managing difficult cases, about maintaining authority. His eagerness reminds you of yourself years ago. You explain what you can through the screen that separates judgment from humanity. Level 6, the beylerbey. You govern provinces that stretch beyond what you can ride in a month. Your palace overlooks the Bosphorus, and the marble floors stay cool even when Constantinople bakes in summer heat. The walls are thick enough that you hear only what you need to hear. Your seal carries more weight than some sultans carried 2 centuries ago. When you sign a document, entire cities change their plans. The morning brings dispatches from 17 different sanjak beys. Each one wants something. More janissaries for their garrison, permission to collect extra taxes, authority to execute a rebel whose name you've never heard. You read every request twice because missing something costs more than granting everything. Your secretaries sort the papers by urgency, but everything marked urgent arrives in the same leather pouch. Your breakfast arrives on plates that cost more than most men earn in a year. The cook knows your preferences without asking. The servants know to approach from your left side because your right ear doesn't catch whispers anymore. Too many years of cannons and conferences. You eat while reviewing tax assessments from districts you've never visited but somehow know by heart. Numbers that represent families, farms, futures you'll never see. The palace has 60 rooms. You use maybe 12. Your bedroom overlooks gardens where fountains run all day because the sound drowns out conversations you're not supposed to hear. Your office has maps covering 3 walls. Pins mark troop movements, trade routes, places where the border shifts like sand. You move the pins yourself because trusting someone else to place them correctly is trusting someone else to understand what you understand. Nobody else understands what you understand. Your wife speaks to you in the evening after the final dispatch. She tells you about her day, about the servants, about letters from her sister in Bursa. You listen while reviewing reports about grain shipments and militia training. She knows you're listening even when you're not looking at her. She stopped expecting you to look at her. That happened sometime during your 3rd year governing Anatolia, or maybe your 2nd year in Rumelia. The years blur together like provinces on a map. Your son visits monthly. He's 26 now, married, managing estates near Edirne. He wants your advice about crop rotations and dowries. He doesn't want your advice about governing because he's watched what governing does to people who govern. He calls you father but looks at you like you're a stranger wearing his father's face. You remember holding him when he was small enough to lift. Your hands are softer now, but they shake when you're tired. The courier arrives after midnight. He always arrives after midnight. His saddlebags contain messages sealed with the Sultan's personal mark, not the state seal. These dispatches don't go through normal channels. They come directly from the palace, written by hands you recognize even in candlelight. The paper smells like bergamot and secrets. You read each message 3 times before burning it, but some words stick in your memory like thorns. Your orders are simple. Increase tax collection by 15% without causing revolts. Reduce military spending by 10% without reducing effectiveness. Eliminate corruption without eliminating the people who make the system work. Find the balance between impossible things. That is what beylerbey means. Finding balance between impossible things. You dictate responses until dawn. Your secretary's hand cramps, but he doesn't complain, because complaining means replacement. Your seal presses into wax that hardens before the impression finishes forming. Each seal creates ripples that spread across the empire, like stones thrown in still water. You can't see where the ripples end. You can only hope they don't cause waves that crash back and drown you. Your chest tightens when the courier's horse appears on the horizon. Every message from Constantinople carries the possibility of promotion or execution, sometimes both, written on the same piece of paper. The difference depends on details you can't control, and loyalty you can never prove enough times. The marble stays cool, even in summer. The morning brings dispatches from 17 different sanjaqbis. Each one wants something. Level 7, the defterdar. You count the empire's gold in rooms where marble echoes your footsteps back like accusations. The ledgers spread across tables carved from single blocks of wood. Each page a map of revenue flowing from Damascus, Cairo, Baghdad. Your fingers stain black from the ink that tracks every oxay, every dirham, every ducat that enters or leaves the imperial treasury. The numbers never lie. People do, governors do, even pashas do. But the numbers tell you exactly how much grain rotted in Anatolia, how much silver disappeared between Bursa and the capital, how many Janissaries received pay for battles they never fought. You see the empire's pulse in spreadsheets that stretch longer than prayer rugs. Your quarters occupy an entire wing near the treasury vaults. Servants arrange your meals around your schedule, which follows no earthly rhythm. You eat when the calculations permit. You sleep when the books balance. Your wife learned years ago not to expect you for evening prayers. Your children address you as Effendi when they see you, which happens perhaps twice each week. The Sultan summons you at hours that would kill lesser men. 3 in the morning, he wants to know why tax collection dropped in Egypt. Dawn breaks while you explain why the tribute from Moldavia arrived light. Your voice never wavers. Your answers contain no uncertainty. One miscalculation means provinces lost. Another means your head displayed on the palace gates. You know things that would start wars if spoken aloud. Which provincial governors skim tribute before sending it to Constantinople. Which merchants bribe customs officials in Smyrna. Which military commanders inflate their troop counts to pocket extra pay. You document everything. You report what serves the empire. The rest you file in ledgers that will outlive everyone who created the debts they record. The Grand Vizier seeks your counsel before every major decision. War requires funding. Peace requires funding. Everything requires funding, and you control the flow. Your signature authorizes payment for siege engines or palace renovations, for diplomatic gifts or executioner salaries. Without your approval, armies starve in their camps. With it, cities fall. Your days begin before the muezzin calls for morning prayer. You light oil lamps in chambers where sunlight never penetrates, reviewing accounts that arrive by courier during the night, revenue from the Balkans. Expenses for the Persian campaign. Costs for maintaining fortresses that guard routes you learn by studying numbers rather than maps. The responsibility never sleeps. Even in your dreams, you balance columns of figures that stretch toward heaven. Your mind calculates automatically now. You estimate the weight of silver coins by their sound against marble. You detect fraudulent seals by the pressure patterns in wax. Your eyes catch discrepancies in documents before conscious thought processes the numbers. Other officials fear you more than they respect you. You determine their budgets. You audit their accounts. You report directly to the Sultan when their spending exceeds authorization. They smile when they greet you in palace corridors. Their smiles never reach their eyes. Your physician warns that your health suffers from the hours you keep. Your back aches from hunching over ledgers. Your eyes strain from reading by lamplight. Your hands shake slightly now, though whether from exhaustion or the weight of decisions you cannot determine. The empire's financial stability rests in those trembling fingers. The treasury guards know your footsteps. They unlock vault doors before you speak. Inside, you walk among chests that contain more gold than entire kingdoms possess. You touch nothing without purpose. Every coin you handle has been counted. Every bar of silver has been weighed. Every precious stone has been cataloged in registers that bear your personal seal. At night, when Constantinople sleeps, you remain awake in chambers where numbers whisper secrets about the empire's future. You see patterns in revenue that predict famines. You identify trends in military spending that forecast wars. The empire's fate reveals itself through mathematics that few men comprehend. Tomorrow, a young scribe will enter the treasury for his first day of service. He believes numbers simply record what happened. He does not yet understand that numbers predict what will happen. He has no idea that mathematics can break empires or build them. He is about to learn. Level 8, the Grand Vizier. You wake in the Babi Ali before dawn breaks over the Bosphorus. Your chambers overlook the first courtyard, where petitioners already gather like hungry birds. The weight of the imperial seal rests in an ivory box beside your bed. One impression can mobilize 50,000 Janissaries. Another can condemn a provincial governor to death. Your morning ablutions are performed while 3 scribes wait outside your door. They hold reports from Damascus, Cairo, Budapest. Each document requires your decision before the sun reaches its zenith. You dress in silk robes, heavy with gold thread. The kaftan weighs more than armor. Your turban bears the aigrette of your office-white ostrich feathers that mark you as second only to the padishah himself. The first audience begins at the second call to prayer. You sit in the hall of the divan while provincial governors prostrate themselves before your dais. Their foreheads touch marble, worn smooth by 10 generations of supplication. A governor from Anatolia reports grain shortages. You allocate emergency shipments from Egyptian stores. Your signature authorizes the movement of 3,000 tons of wheat. The logistics will cost 40,000 axes. You approve without hesitation. A messenger arrives from the Hungarian frontier. Austrian forces mass near Buda. You summon the defterdar to discuss military expenditure. The treasury can support a campaign of 6 months if you suspend all public works in Constantinople. You suspend them. Your decision affects the livelihood of 8,000 craftsmen. They will eat less this winter, so the empire's borders remain secure. Your afternoons are spent in the palace of the Grand Vizier receiving foreign ambassadors. The Venetian bailo requests trading privileges in Smyrna. You grant them in exchange for naval intelligence about Habsburg movements in the Adriatic. The French ambassador seeks audience regarding Levantine commerce. You promise consideration while your spies report his every word to agents in 3 different capitals. Diplomacy flows like poisoned honey. Sweet words conceal bitter calculations. The padishah summons you for evening consultations in the imperial garden. You walk behind him at precisely 7 paces, close enough to hear his whispered commands, far enough to demonstrate proper submission. He asks about the loyalty of the Janissary. You report that certain officers show concerning independence. He nods. You understand. By morning, those officers will be transferred to remote garrisons. Some will simply disappear. Your dinner is served on Chinese porcelain worth more than most men earn in lifetimes. 24 courses prepared by cooks who taste every dish before it reaches your lips. Not for luxury, for survival. Your food taster died last spring, officially from fever. You know better. The replacement is young, eager, desperate for the steady wages. They all are, until they understand what those wages purchase. Night brings the heaviest burden. Intelligence reports arrive by coded message. The Kuprulu family conspires to reclaim the vizierate. The Janissary Corps grows restless over delayed pay. Provincial tax farmers skim larger percentages while claiming local hardship. Each problem demands immediate solution. Delay means weakness. Weakness means death. You sign execution orders at midnight. 7 men will die before dawn. 3 for embezzlement, 2 for treason, 2 for spreading sedition in coffee houses. Your signature feels no heavier than when authorizing grain shipments. The mathematics of power permit no distinction between feeding subjects and killing them. Both serve the eternal state. Sleep comes in fragments between urgent dispatches. You rest knowing tomorrow brings identical decisions: who lives, who dies, who prospers, who suffers under imperial will. Your predecessor occupied this office for 3 years before the bowstring found his neck. The average tenure lasts 18 months. You have served for 27. The empire's machinery turns because you oil each gear with blood and gold. Your authority extends from the Danube to the Euphrates, from the Crimean steppes to the cataracts of Aswan. Every sunrise confirms your power over 20 million souls. Every sunset reminds you that power is borrowed, not owned. The padishah's favor shifts like desert sand. Level 9, the valid sultan. You wake before dawn in the valid's chambers, rooms larger than entire palaces you once knew existed. The walls are Iznik tile and mother of pearl inlay. But you notice first how the silence feels different here. Thicker, more complete. Your ladies-in-waiting move like ghosts, feet never touching marble in a way that makes sound. The morning reports arrive on silver trays, grain stores in Anatolia, tribute from Wallachia, the plague in Aleppo. You read each parchment twice, your mind cataloging which news reaches your son, the Sultan, and which stops here, in these rooms that smell of ambergris and carefully managed power. Your breakfast is 47 dishes. You touch 3. The rest disappear, redistributed through the hierarchy below according to rules you wrote yourself. Nothing in the empire moves without precedent. Nothing moves without your precedent. The first petitioner arrives at the 7th hour. A provincial governor's wife, her husband, accused of skimming tax revenues. She prostrates herself beyond the lattice screen that separates your world from theirs. You listen to her plea from behind carved wood, invisible but absolute. Your voice, when it comes, carries no emotion. Mercy or execution. The words feel the same in your mouth. You grant mercy. The woman weeps. You've already forgotten her name. The afternoon brings the real business. Your spies report from Persia, from Venice, from the Janissary barracks, 300 paces from where you sit. You know which viziers meet in private. You know which concubines carry messages. You know which eunuchs have grown too comfortable with their proximity to power. Information flows to you like water flows downhill, natural and unstoppable. Your son visits at sunset. The Sultan of Sultans, shadow of God on earth, kneels and kisses your hand like he did when he was 7 and brought you flowers from the palace gardens. He asks about the Persian situation. You tell him. He asks about the Janissary pay. You tell him. He makes no decision without this conversation. The empire bends to his will, but his will bends first through these chambers, these evening talks that last until the call to prayer echoes across 7 hills. You remember when he was born. The relief that flooded the harem when the midwife announced a son. You remember calculating, even in that moment of blood and exhaustion, what this child meant for your position. Love and strategy became the same feeling. The late evening brings correspondence from other valide sultans, other mothers who rule from other palaces. The Safavid queen mother writes about trade routes. The Habsburg Dowager Duchess writes about marriage alliances. You write back in 3 languages, your handwriting steady, despite the arthritis that makes your joints ache when storms approach. Power speaks to power, across religious lines, across battle lines, across the bodies of sons and husbands who think they rule the world. You own 17,000 slaves. You control revenues from provinces spanning 3 continents. Governors who administer lands the size of kingdoms seek your favor through gifts and careful letters. Your word can trigger wars or prevent them. Your displeasure can end bloodlines. But you have not left these chambers in 4 years. The world you rule exists only in reports, in maps, in the whispered intelligence of agents who travel roads your feet will never touch. Your power is infinite and your prison absolute. You know the price of wheat in Damascus, but not how rain feels against your face. Your ladies prepare you for sleep in robes worth more than most men earn in lifetimes. Tomorrow there will be more reports, more petitions, more decisions that ripple across empires. Your son will visit. He will ask your counsel. You will give it. In the courtyard below, A young prince practices swordsmanship with his tutor. Smooth movements, unformed ambition. He believes strength comes from the blade. They always do. The cycle continues. Level 10, the padishah. You wake in the sacred chamber where even the walls hold their breath. The room stretches 40 paces in each direction. No one has slept beside you in 20 years. The silk sheets cost more than most villages see in a lifetime. You dress alone. You have dressed alone, since you learned that hands which touch the shadow of God must be severed at the wrist. Your morning prayer faces Mecca. 3 million subjects face you. The mathematics of worship flow in opposite directions. The Grand Vizier waits beyond the threshold. He has waited there for 2 hours. Time bends around your schedule. When you are ready, the empire is ready. When you sleep, 3 continents hold their breath. He approaches on his knees. His forehead touches marble that reflects your face back at you from every angle. You speak. He listens. There are no conversations anymore. There have not been conversations in 15 years. Every word you utter becomes law before it finishes leaving your mouth. You mentioned that the gardens need rain. By sunset, 40 engineers will be redirecting the Bosphorus. You wonder aloud about a province in Hungary. By dawn, 20,000 Janissaries will be marching west. The throne room fills with men who own everything except the right to look at you directly. They study the floor like it contains the secrets of the universe. Your voice carries to the corners where scribes record every syllable. These words will be copied in 17 languages and carried by horse to the edges of the known world. You ask about tax collection in Damascus. Someone dies in Damascus. You do not know his name. You will never know his name. Your meals arrive on gold plates that could feed a village for a month. 30 servants prepare each dish. A food taster dies twice weekly. You eat alone. The dining hall holds 400 people. You have eaten alone in this hall for 18 years. The echo of your chewing is the only sound. You remember the taste of food shared with others. That memory is 23 years old. The afternoon brings petitions. A governor in Anatolia requests permission to repair a bridge. You nod. He prostrates himself in gratitude. You have just decided the fate of trade routes that will outlive your grandchildren. A Janissary commander seeks approval for new recruitment standards. You gesture slightly. Thousands of boys will now be taken from their families and trained to die for your glory. Their mothers will weep. You will never see their tears. Your physicians approach like supplicants at a shrine. They examine you without touching you. They diagnose you without speaking to you. Your body belongs to the empire now. It has belonged to the empire for 31 years. Every ache in your joints affects the price of grain in Cairo. Every cough ripples through the administration of justice from Vienna to Baghdad. Evening prayers happen alone. You have prayed alone since the day your father's heart stopped beating. The prayer rug beneath your knees costs more than most men see in their entire lives. God listens to your words. 3 million subjects pray for your health. The mathematics remain complicated. Your chamber's empty as darkness falls. The palace holds 4,000 people. None of them will speak to you unless you speak first. None of them will touch you unless you command it. You are the most powerful man in 3 empires. You are the loneliest man in the known world. These facts exist in the same breath. You sleep in silk that whispers against your skin. Your dreams are visited by men seeking your approval for wars you will never fight, and women you will never touch, and children you will never hold. You wake to make decisions that reshape the world. You make them alone. Somewhere in the empire, a boy of 12 summers helps his father repair nets by the Aegean Sea. His hands are quick. His smile comes easily. Tomorrow, Ottoman recruiters will notice him. They always do. The cycle continues.